Hey guys, I'm Levi.
Sorry about that, folks.
Or not. So anyway, yeah, I was like, hey. Talking about, I was in therapy for like a month already, and I was like, hey, I could probably get a job. And I tried to get a job at dollar store, and I was there for a day, and I quit.
It's Dollar General, by the way.
I said the dollar stores.
It's not the dollar store. There's a Dollar General, a dollar store, a Family Dollar.
I was trying to be generic. It was $8. Whatever. Anyway, and yeah, but it's because of the anxiety. There was a lot of things I couldn't do because of the anxiety. I would have anxiety attacks for no reason, of course. Then I tried to volunteer at the library to try and get over it, and I did that for a little while. And I stopped doing that too for the same reason. And so I was in therapy, and actually the doctor, or my therapist, he asked me in the beginning if I wanted to be on any medication, and I said no.
Oh.
Well, you know how I am.
I was like that too.
How I feel about medication.
It's because my dad.
I understand. Like, if you're really like, for me, it was always like they throw medicine at people like too quickly. But I understand, like, because I'm like, you have to at least try to get to the root of the problem first. For me, at least, it was I wanted medication to be a last resort. Like, if nothing else worked. But now, like, I understand more now, like, if you're really that bad, like you, if you're really that bad to where, well, you know what I mean. If you're really that bad to where, like, you really need it just to, like, even stay with it.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Well, I mean, it's not
in order to get to the root of the problem, then maybe, you know, or whatever.
Because you can't really, if you're to the point where on your own, you can't function, and you use meds to get to a point where you can at least function to work on the problems. Yeah. Because if you can't function, if you can't focus, and if you, like me, and your emotions are like this and all over the place, how the hell can you do anything for that matter?
Remember, like, in the beginning when you were first in the hospital, or when you were first, like, when you were still in and out of the hospital, I remember I was really, really mad about the medicine. And I was like, I want you to be off all medication. But here's the reason.
Oh, Dad.
It was, what?
Well, I was going to say, Dad brought us up that way, too.
Well, yeah, that too, but that wasn't really it. The reason was mainly because when you were in college, you were just on the Celexa.
It wasn't the Celexa, no.
You weren't on Celexa?
It was Zoloft.
Oh,
at that point, I was on Celexa before that, but it wasn't really working for me anymore, so they switched me to Zoloft.
So you were on
now
the
this is the college doctor, not even a psychiatrist or anything.
Yeah.
So.
But you said that was working for you though, right?
At first.
And then you went off of it because you ran out and you didn't have a way to get more, right? Isn't that why you went off of it for like a month?
That was the Celexa.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the other time I tried it.
No. This was just
one.
before. This was the part just before you went.
Oh, okay. When you finish that, if I could tell that story.
Yeah, but this is the reason why I wanted you off the medication at first when you were in and out of the hospital. It was because you had been on the Celexa when you were like right before you left college, and you went off of it because you ran out, right? And you did fine for a while off of it, didn't you?
Yeah,
or at least you seemed to.
I had these like brain zaps, and I got those after my concussion too. It's the same thing, but it was what I call brain zaps. You feel this like jolt go up through your head, and it kind of throws you off balance.
Yeah.
Throws your vision off for a second.
But you.
The reason I ran out and didn't get more is because by that time, since I was out of college, I didn't have insurance anymore.
That was my problem too. The reason why I stopped going to therapy. I was only in therapy for like 3 or 4 months, and then I turned 19. I was in therapy mainly because of my anxiety made me not able to keep a job. But then I turned 19 and I got taken off my parents' insurance, and I couldn't get any of my own insurance because I didn't have a job. And yeah. But anyway, so you got off you stopped taking the Celexa because you couldn't get any more, and you seemed to be doing fine for a while, and then you had that one really bad panic attack, and you went to the emergency room because you had that big panic attack, and
this was a couple years out later. I mean, this was just when I was working at Clifton.
Yeah. And then, so you were doing fine for a while, and then you had that one panic attack out of nowhere, and you went to the emergency room, and that's when they put you on the Prozac, and they put you on, like, 5 different things, didn't they? They put you on, not 5 different things, but they put you on Prozac, they put you on Ativan, and Ativan. They put you back on Celexa, right?
Yeah.
And
but I've heard, actually, I found out Prozac is the worst thing to put somebody who has bipolar disorder. Put on. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's when they put you on all that stuff, and then shortly after that is whenever you overdosed. Well, on top of you were drinking a lot on...
Just that first time, though.
Yeah.
The second and third time I didn't.
Yeah, and you had been drinking that whole weekend.
Yeah, yep.
And I remember that day we had come over here for Christmas dinner, and then we went over to, like, our aunt's house.
This is when I was talking about the silver bullet, when she mentioned, like, the silver bullet cure.
And that was before we went over to our aunt's house, and you had already been drinking all day, and you were just in this mood. It was different. It was a very different mood. You were... And when we went over to our aunt's house, we were making ornaments in the basement, and you were just kind of like, you weren't really, like, angry, like, you were, like, but you just, like, I don't care, whatever. You were just, we're like, why is Levi being so mean? But, and then that night is when you went home, and, because I was having, like he said, we had something going on the next day, and I was like, oh, I'm coming over tomorrow, are you gonna be here? And he just closed his eyes and shook his head. And, like, later on...
I barely remember this. Anyway.
Later on, I realized, I, like, kind of put 2 and 2 together. I was like, holy crap. Like...
Yeah, good job!
I didn't mean be here, are you going to be here, as in, are you going to be alive? I meant, are you going to be at the house? But, that, you know, that kind of, like... I don't know if that's how you meant it, but it seemed like... I don't know. No, I'm not going to be alive, kind of thing.
I might have meant both at the same time.
Yeah, and I woke up the next morning, and I had, like, 20 million text messages and voicemails and missed calls. And yeah, Mom, Dad. Oh. And yeah, so. But anyway, that's when I wanted you off the medication because you were fine, and then you had that one panic attack where they just shoved all this medication down your throat, and then that's when you tried to commit suicide. I'm like, no, you were fine when you weren't on it.
I can understand that, but
now I get it. Oh, okay. Now I get it.
I think I just reached a breaking point. Everything just boiled, or not boiled over, exploded. Yeah. And, because, as you know, things continued that way, even though I wasn't on all that medication and stuff. And
But that was my thing. That's why I wanted you off the medication at first, because it was like, you were fine when you weren't on it, you tried to kill yourself when you were on this huge pill cocktail, so what the frig, take him off the medication, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. If only it were that easy.
I know. But that was my initial reaction to the medication. Yeah. Now I'm a little more... alright. As long as it's working for you.
Well, you've experienced it secondhand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of get more of an idea of what's going on. I mean, granted, there are plenty of situations where that does happen, where they just throw pills, money.
Yeah, and they're not trying to help you. That's what makes me mad. It's like, are you really trying to help, or are you just trying to make money off me and turn me into a zombie?
Trying to pay for the rest of your yacht.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I have the severe anxiety, severe panic disorder, acute agoraphobia, and that's all I got diagnosed with in the couple of months that I was in therapy. Who knows what else, if I have anything else. Like, you were talking about the manic episodes and stuff, and I was like, I've had those, and I know, like, depression and stuff like that. I know I've got that. But that wasn't something we were focused on at first when I first started going to therapy. We were focused on the anxiety. I know the depression's there. I know I've had manic episodes, plenty of them. And I also have what's called isolated sleep paralysis, which is...
I wish I had that. This sounds cool. It's so creepy.
I don't know. It's a love-hate thing, but it's actually a sleep disorder, but it's a very weird sleep disorder where
it's like you're on acid.
No, it's not. It's where you're awake, but your body is asleep, kind of. It's either when you first wake up. When you're first waking up, that's called post-dormal sleep paralysis, or whenever you're first falling asleep, that's pre-dormal. But basically what it is your brain releases the chemicals that it usually releases when you're in a REM state. And that happens to everybody because that helps you to your body not to move so you don't act out your dreams. But this just happens when you're still awake. So you become paralyzed and you can see everything's, but you can't talk, you can't move no matter how hard you try. But that would be okay if it weren't for the fact that there are really, really intense, evil, scary hallucinations,
That's the part
auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, and what is it called? Is it like tactile hallucinations?
Yeah, I think so.
And that where you can actually feel stuff, and it's like it could be anything. A lot of people see like shadow people, demons, hear voices, clicking, zapping, laughing, just really, really dark, sinister stuff, and it's like you're living in a real live nightmare, and you can't move. Huh?
Some may feel that it's actual not possession, but oppression, which it's an actual possession. It's just they attach enough to be able to oppress you.
Yeah.
So, but it's very well a physiological thing.
Yeah, it's the chemicals in your brain are confused. And yeah, it's really scary. Hallucinations, auditory, visual. You have things climbing on you, crawling on the walls, laughing at you, taunting you, choking you.
The most memorable thing I remember her telling me about is the time that a woman was crawling up her while she was sleeping, and then her face was right there.
Yeah.
And she had this really creepy voice. What did she look like again? Her face? Did she have gray skin, you said? Or no, it wasn't gray.
No,
I thought there was one where this really creepy... No, it was a shadow figure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of the more recent ones, actually. I had. It was like a shadow person. It was like, somebody in like... Have you seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Green Man? Where it's the full latex suit where it covers your whole face and your whole body. That's kind of what it looked like, because they had no face, no hair, and it was just a shadow person. Basically climbed up from the foot of my bed. And
okay, I'm done.
Like grabbed my wrists, and I already couldn't move. But they grabbed my wrists and they had their face like really close to mine and were just kind of like looking at me. And I was just like, couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Well, I could breathe a little bit, but I couldn't move. I couldn't talk.
It's harder to breathe, almost like if you have panic attacks. You feel like this weight is on your chest, just pressing down, and it's like.
Yeah. So now that most of you think I'm probably describing like catatonic schizophrenia, no, I'm kidding. No, but that's the closest experience I had to catatonic schizophrenia, or at least one end of the spectrum of that. Yeah.
What about you had the first episode, you think, that when you were in that room.
Yeah.
When you lived in that room. And then there's a time you were actually sleeping on my floor.
Yeah, that was the first time I actually ever had a hallucination. I
Wait,
heard
which
this
one?
When I was in here.
With the hand? My hand? Remember the one with me?
Oh yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, but there was no sleep paralysis with that one. I was waking up and I rolled over and I put my hand down. I didn't have my eyes open yet, and I felt my hand land on another hand, but it wasn't mine. And I heard, "Stop it!" And I open my eyes, and there's Levi standing by my bed, and he pulls his hand away, and I was like, "Levi?" And he just kind of smiled at me all creepy, and just walked backwards, and went into my closet and disappeared. And I immediately got up and ran into his room, and he was sleeping.
I was astral projecting.
Yeah, he was astral projection. But when I was actually in here, it was the first time I had sleep paralysis for a while, a little after that. I was like 8 and when it started happening, and I had it for a while without any hallucinations, and I would just kind of play a game with it. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna count to 3 and I'm gonna move, but I couldn't move. And then whenever I was sleeping in here, I got it, and I started hearing this, help me, and it kept going until and it kept going, and I was trying to tell Levi, I was trying to cry out to Levi, Levi, come help me, wake me up, or no, I was already awake, but I couldn't talk, and that was the first time I realized that you can't talk in sleep paralysis. It's really scary, but that went on for a while, help me, and it just progressively got scarier and scarier.
Well, even when, if you have your mouth open, all you can make is these.
Yeah, I was making these choking noises. I was just, that kind of thing.
It's almost like your vocal cords are paralyzed as well.
Everything's paralyzed except you can breathe, you can move your eyes. Anything that you can do while you're sleeping. You're just breathing, your eyes move. Otherwise, you don't really talk or anything. And sometimes it is really hard to breathe. But anyway, we can talk more about that later. You had something else you wanted to talk about. The hell was it?
Oh, about the time at college? My actual first?
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting about this time because it's such a distant, isolated situation. I wish I could think of words like I used to. Anyway, I was on Zoloft. I had been on Celexa, but it wasn't working anymore for me, and so they put me on Zoloft. This was while I was at college. I was actually with my wife. Then she was just my girlfriend, and I'd been on that for maybe a month, and then it was weird. I started to have these times when I'd feel like a weight on my head, and I could feel my head kind of bowing down, and I would slowly get to the point where I was nearly immobile. I could actually move, but it was very difficult, very challenging. Think about when you're dead tired, that it's that kind of feeling, just a little bit more. And so my wife would actually have to pick me up and kind of directing me to the bed and almost carrying me. Because like I said, I could kind of function. And I just lay there and it was a horrible, horrible feeling.
Weren't you really paranoid around that time, too?
Yes.
I remember he would call me on the phone while he was walking from class to class or while he was walking somewhere on campus, and he'd be like, I think there's people in the trees.
I just felt like there were people up in the trees with a sniper rifle aiming at me.
And
any moment, I'd be walking along and then and down I'd go.
Yeah, and he's like, I need you to talk to me while I walk because I think there's people in the trees and they're going to shoot me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You must have thought I was insane.
No, I was worried about you.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay, I remember that too.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, this happened a few times, and then there was one moment where I was in bed for a while like that. My wife was on the computer, or she was near the desk, or on the computer desk, and on the computer desk. You know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, I remember I was still in that really sunken feeling, but I was able to move more, and I got up. I just had this severe desire to die. I just wanted to end it. So I did the first thing I could think of is, I grabbed a plastic grocery bag, laid back down in bed, and I put it over my head and tied it as tight as I could and went under the covers and just hyperventilated. And the reason I survived, or at least didn't I came close to passing out. But naturally, as I was suffocating, my body was panicking, so I started kicking and just thriving all over the place, and that's when Rachel realized what was going on, and she pulled the sheets off and ripped the bag off my head, and that's when she really started.
I can't breathe thinking about that.
Yeah. So,
I remember I was really torn about that because you told me about that and you're like, don't tell anyone. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what am I supposed to do? You know?
I just didn't want all this worry and panic and stuff like that.
I didn't know what to do.
Holy hell, this one's longer than the other one.
Yeah.
And we haven't even been funny.
I'm sorry. Well, we were more serious this time. We got all our goofiness out in the first one.
I apologize.
I think that's all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
this time. I know there was more, but
we can't do everything. We'll have other videos to do.
Yeah. So that's that. Sorry these were so long. I hope they were entertaining enough because we had fun doing them. Now we're going to go play board games because it's our mom's birthday party and we're ignoring everyone right now.
Be forewarned, my sister will be having her own videos coming out on this channel.
If I can think of stuff to talk about.
Oh, you have plenty to talk about. You have a friggin' blog.
That's true. That I never write in.
I wish I did a blog, but nobody ever. It seems like
to talk, but then we
it
just.
is.
Did you notice? You know what else runs in our family? We freaking babble a lot. What are you talking about?
Because we have a lot of interesting things to say.
Our family babbles and tells long stories.
Well, duh. That's why the other one's called Bipolar Babbling Bill.
Yeah. That runs in the family.
I should have called it Bipolar Bibble Babbling. That's a mouthful. Anyway, and one handful. You're dirty! You're dirty! Alright, anyway, yeah, she'll have videos coming out, and, you know, occasionally we'll have ones with both of us, but we don't live together, so,
We live on, like, way opposite ends of the town.
On the world. The universe. Okay, this is getting stupid.
Okay.
My fault. Alright.
Okay, dokie.
We're gonna get really close to the camera as we always do for some reason. Look at the nose, look at the nose, look at the nose.
Ew.